everyone. I'm Tonya K. And we're at Erewhon.
And this is another episode with RawGuru.com. I'm Erica. And Alex is videoing right now.
Next door is CBS Studios. And don't ask me why they film a Fox show, but I just shot a Fox show over there just right before this moment in time, right now. A Fox show called American Idol. It's been the most popular television show in the world, they tell me, for 9 years running.
Wow.
And tonight I'm doing tonight I'll be broadcast as a backup dancer for Rihanna, but I'm not really dancing. I'm grinding sparks off of my body. It's super cool, and we had to make it more family friendly for Fox. You know, I couldn't grind the sparks off my cod piece this time. So I stayed up until 4 a.m. making a kind of like metal corset that I could grind off of. Fox liked it. That's cool. Wow. We have a good time. Family friendly. Everyone can love a metal corset with sparks.
How did you get cast for that?
You know, I was just thinking about this. You know how they always say that it's who you know in the business? And in the 80s, that kind of actually meant who you slept with. But really, now that means it's who you know. It's people's job in this town to know who does what. And so yesterday, this was a very urgent casting. At 3 o'clock, 4 different people called me saying, Tonya, do you do a grinder act? This is the weirdest thing. They all were almost apologizing before they asked, I'm sorry to ask you this, but do you do a grinder act? And I was like, yeah, I'm one of 4 women in LA that do. And you found the right person. And so it's kind of like, you know, a good casting director's job and a good choreographer's job to know who might and then find them. And so they found me, and this morning at 10 a.m. I was booked, and at 2 p.m. I was on set. And now tonight, this is so weird, and tonight it's broadcast.
Wow.
That's fast.
But April 20th, I'll be on Glee. So watch that one. That one was filmed, you know, in January, like normal filming goes in January.
So how did you get into dancing and acting or whatever you're...
My mom caught me tap dance. Well, there was a show called Star Search when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember these 2 a cappella tap dancers. Now I know that word means a cappella when you don't dance with music, right? And I was about 3 years old, and I was shaking my booty in front of the TV, and Mom caught me, and Mom said, Tonya, do you want to take tap dance lessons? And I was like, yeah, Mom. So she is, you know, she's the best. She took me every day of my life to my dance lessons, and both my mom and dad got into community theater. And so when I was 6, I say, instead of getting a babysitter, they just started taking me along and auditioning me, and I would get in. So it would be a family thing, and we'd all come home and sing our songs and do our dances together and stuff like that. Yeah. And from there, it just kind of, I don't know, I'd much rather do something that felt so good to my soul than work, because life is so short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It shows you're very bright and happy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember in high school, my guidance counselor was encouraging me, because I was valedictorian and I wasn't going to college, right? So she was encouraging me to think about what I would do for Plan B. And it didn't resonate with me. I was like, Plan B? Why am I planning for Plan B? If you have no Plan B, then Plan A is the only option. Like, I've never had a Plan B. And do you know how hard you work when Plan A is the only way you're going to feed yourself? Plan A has to work, or else you're not eating. So that was my motivation. No Plan B.
I like that philosophy.
Good advice.
Thank you.
So, what do you eat?
Oh, I eat green things all the time. I eat raw food. I've been a vegetarian for 25 years, a vegan for 15 of those, and high raw, about 95% for the last 8 years. 7.5. I'm boasting. I'm calling it 8 when it's really 7.5 right now. Yeah, but I'm feeling good. You know, the difference between cooked vegan and raw vegan is like astounding. So, and lots of all those health miracles happened then, not when I was cooked vegan. I mean, I had a spiritual, you know, center over being vegan, cooked vegan, bless the spirit center. And I had a connection with nature over being vegan, and the animals, they spoke to me, you know, in a different way than they do for other people when they're eating them. But yeah, the raw vegan thing was what really catapulted my next level of everything. You know, relationships and thoughts and health, physical health. I used to be bipolar. I was like diagnosed manic depressive, and I don't know if I still am. I don't even know if I believe in that word anymore or not. But when I was a cooked vegan, I was on medication still, and it really bothered me because I didn't feel like that was, you know, in line with my natural thinking. But you got to do what you got to do. So I had to do what I had to do, but I always felt some little twinge of shame somewhere back in my mind and heart. And then at one point, I decided I was going to go off the meds for the third and final time. I was in Stomp. I was on tour with Stomp at this point, and I was feeling, you know, like empowered. And my support group said, "You can't do it. Don't do it. We've all tried. It's a disaster." And my psychologist said, "I won't see you anymore." And my lover at the time said, "I will break up with you." And I said,
Why?
"That's just about what I needed. Let's do this." So I did that, going off the meds. And at the same time, I thought to myself, I've never really known what it was like to be an adult without, you know, my brain chemistry being altered with synthetic chemicals. Let's find out what that's like. And while we're finding out, could I please also give myself the healthiest platform to be on? So if I'm really crazy, is what I was thinking. If I'm really crazy, I'm going to find out how crazy at healthy. So that's why I went raw. I just wanted to be healthy, to see how crazy I was. And in the process of becoming healthy, I just became healthy. And there really eventually was no more manic depression. I'm moody and creative and passionate, but not violent and dangerous and, you know, a casualty. So, yeah. So that's a miracle for me, I'll tell you.
Do you have like a couple of tips for people who might be experiencing depression or bipolar?
Well,
anything?
I don't give advice to people because
if they want to transition to raw and try that, do you have anything that you learned?
transitioning to raw? Okay. Anybody who's like, you know, experiencing depression or manic depression or whatever your emotional, you know, ups and downs are, it's hard to be a human, you know. I can't tell you what to do. I can only share what I did and encourage you as you continue seeking your path, whatever it may be. If your path leads you to raw foods, what's a great way to transition? My easiest way is the no willpower approach. You just make a list of everything that you must have, everything that you cannot give up, your favorite foods in the world, and everything that's not on that list, you never buy again. So I always had my favorite foods, my favorite vegan foods in the house, so I never felt restricted. And I just, you know, everything else was raw. And eventually, you know, your tastes change and you start feeling the feeling, and it becomes very easy to not even want what was once your favorite food. For me, vegan cheese and Triscuits. And anyway, I'm 95%. Here's another thing. I'm all about mental health, right? So I always say I'm 95% because what I found is a lot of people, when they are 100% or so gung-ho about 100%, they can end up feeling very shamed if they actually want an item that's still vegan and cooked. And there's no need for shame. That has no place in the mental health, you know, category, which is where I'm coming from. I'm very concerned about mental health. So I don't want to see anybody set themselves up for potential shame or potential failure. There is no failure. I'm never off the raw wagon because I'm 95. I can eat 5% whenever I want. You know, there's no shame in that. And the next day I just eat more raw food because that's what I do.